Hey everybody, it's Colby here from Prize Foundation, and I am really excited for today's episode. I'm going to be interviewing Alexander Jeffery, 2015 Louisiana Film Prize Grand Prize winner, with his film, The Bespoke Tailoring of Mr. Bellamy.
I always believe the suit makes the man. No matter your look, get the right get up, the right fit, the right threads, you always get respect.
Alright guys, and before we get on to the interview, I just want to remind you that tonight at 6 p.m. we're going to be showing the teal slate from the 2019 Louisiana Film Prize films. It's going to be amazing. You're not going to want to miss it. You can't see these anywhere else right now, so make sure to get in. It's free. Everyone watch it right here on PrizeCast. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and to let your friends and family know about PrizeCast. We have daily content. It's going to be amazing. And now let's find out some Film Prize secrets from Alexander Jeffery. Thank you for coming and doing this with me. This is an interesting thing. I'm really curious as to how this is all going to turn out.
Yeah.
Like it's like a video podcast that we're trying to start, and it'll be interesting. But it should be fun.
That's cool.
I was told to ask to put down questions that I want to know from you, and I feel like I know a lot already. So I was like, what can I possibly learn from Alex that I don't already know that he's willing to share?
Nothing.
And I don't know. It just reminded me of when I first met you. Technically, I think it was 2015. I had just got done filming my Film Prize film for 2015, Beaumont, and I was helping on a number of projects, and I had helped Jonathan Traylor on his project.
Yeah.
And he told me that there was this guy who needs some lights, and I said that I might have some. And I remember I got the call from you, and I was like, who's this guy that's coming in? He's going to try to make a film. And I was like, I don't want more competition. and I was like, I'll help this guy out if he needs it. And you called me, and I had lights, but they're terrible lights, and you couldn't use them. But I remember that was my first introduction to you.
Yeah, Jonathan told me you had a 9K HMI, and I was like, I don't think that's a real thing, but I'm going to see if Colby what he actually has. Yeah.
Is that what they said I had?
Yeah.
A 9K. Oh my God. Yeah. No, I wish I had that.
Yeah, me too.
But no, it was interesting. And then you go on and you win the film prize that year, and I'm like, who is this guy? Comes out of nowhere, and something I've been trying out for years, but. Yeah, you came and did it. So I guess I would assume you found out about Film Prize through Jonathan Traylor, but how did you find out about it? What made you come down and do Film Prize?
No, actually, I think whether it was Google marketing or Facebook marketing or whatever it was, I saw a post online, and I hadn't really spent that much time in Shreveport. I mean, even though I grew up in El Dorado, which is not that far from Shreveport, we really only ever came in to go to the airport, which wasn't even that often. And so I knew it was close by, but I hadn't really spent a lot of time. But I saw this ad for Film Prize, I think in like 2014, and wasn't able to get everything together in time to do anything that year. But I, to be honest, I was a little skeptical when I saw it. I was like, I don't know if they actually give away $50,000. That sounds like a scam. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, my initial thought was that, but I also sent the link to my friends Paul and Johnny, who ended up winning the film prize the year after me, because he didn't buy it either. But he was like, you and Paul do it, and you let me know how it goes, and I think there's a 0% chance you guys can win it. And we were like, I mean, we may as well try. Like, it's an hour and a half away. Let's write a script. Let's go down to Louisiana, shoot a movie, and just see what happens. And going in, I had no idea what to expect with Film Prize. I was like, I don't know if this is the type of movie people would like down there. I don't know. I didn't know that there was, I was just like, I want to make a movie about Louisiana and I want to set it there, like, in and around Shreveport, and that's all I knew. That's it. And I was like, we'll see. And to be completely blunt with you, I thought that my rough cut submission was going to get rejected.
Oh man, no, I remember seeing your film for the first time, and I was like, this film's gonna win. And so to think that you thought your rough cut submission was gonna get rejected, it just blows my mind.
And I remember I was down at the office at El Dorado Festivals and Events at the time, and I was watching the live stream of the top 20, and I like drove over to my house after the announcement. I was like, Mom, we got in the top 20. We have a 1 in 20 chance of winning $50,000. And so we all got really excited after that. But I honestly almost didn't turn my film in, which I'm sure a lot of people would have made a lot of people happy, because I thought it was so rough.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad you did, because you turned it in and I got to meet you, and we've worked together ever since, and it's been incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the 5th year anniversary of Mr. Bellamy. And so, like, I guess one thing I never really knew is, how did you guys come up with the idea of Mr. Bellamy? I mean, it's such a simple story, such a simple concept. And it's one of my favorite films that you've done. Not just because of one, it's a great story. And I mean, it's a period piece, all sorts of reasons. But what was the birth of this story? Where did that come from?
It was probably threefold. So Paul, Johnny, and I were all having a Voxer conversation together. Voxer's kind of like this walkie-talkie app thing. So you send each other voice messages. And we were sort of talking about, like, I knew I wanted it to be about somebody performing a simple task. And one of the best actors that I knew and know is Stan Brown. And I wanted the opportunity to work with him. So we sort of started like carving out these specific ideas. And I was like, I want it to be about a guy performing a simple task. And Paul was like, oh, I got this thing. Like, what if this guy is making a suit? And I was like, that's not simple at all. Like, that's a terrible idea. But he was like, no, hear me out. And so we started talking about making a suit. I was like, okay, cool. And then we knew we wanted to set it in Louisiana. And then I got really interested in doing a period piece, because I was doing some research and found out that the integration of the job market took place in 1964. And then the girl that I was seeing at the time, Emily, she knew this man from Parker's Chapel that would sort of walk to and from El Dorado and collect bottles along the side of the road. So that element kind of got infused in there. So there was a lot of different sources that the story came from. And if you go back and actually read the script that we set out to shoot, it's vastly different than what we ended up doing.
I mean, it's like definitely a collaborative, filmmaking is collaborative, but to have everything just kind of come together in such a way that, like, you found out about this festival that you didn't know that, might be legit or not. And then you take a chance, and then you make this film that is phenomenal, wins $50,000, and then goes on. And I mean, you got articles about it. It's online. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, you won all sorts of awards for it. But I mean, you did it smart. You didn't overdo the 60s. You weren't trying to make people immediately think, oh, this is the 1960s from the first shot. You did it subtle, as it should be, in a lot of ways. Like, you used what you had. You didn't try to go all out. And I mean, I have no idea what the budget of this film was, but like I said, you pulled it off and made it look like it was a lot more than I'm sure it actually cost. And like, I mean, did you crowdfund for this movie? What did you do to get the money to do it, or did it all just come out of pocket? Or
no? So I had a couple investors. My parents definitely put money in. I put money in. Paul put money in. I mean, we just kind of scrounged together the resources that we could, and made it. It was like one of the things that was really helpful for me was just getting in my car and driving around the filming region of what was where you were allowed to film at the time, and just finding those spots that hadn't been touched since the 30s or 40s. Because I knew we could point a camera there and nothing would hopefully like stand out too badly that would give away that it was modern. And places like Homer and Arcadia and Minden and Shongaloo and all those areas like around Shreveport just have such great texture, and they literally haven't been touched since long before the 50s.
Yeah, I remember whenever we first came to do the film prize, I lived in Georgia at the time, and it was 9 hours away.
That's
And
right.
so,
Yeah.
like, we would drive up here a couple of times for our first film. We drove up here and filmed it the same time. We didn't have time or money to do it, but the second time we came back, we made multiple trips. We did tons of scouting and there's so many great locations that just haven't been touched in this area, and it's fantastic. And so
There was something about the texture that really appealed to me with Bellamy specifically. Like the film we did right after that was all like very glossy and high production value, visual effects, that kind of thing. But with Bellamy, I knew that I wanted to capture that texture that I felt that I saw when I went to Louisiana.
that's awesome. And did Joel shoot Bellamy?
He did, yeah.
That's awesome.
That was like the third short that we did together that I directed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful film, man. And but the film prize wasn't your first festival, right? You've been to multiple film festivals before. It was my first film festival.
Oh, really?
And it blew me away.
Your expectations were set like here for film festivals.
The bar was way high, and I was like, oh, they're going to all be like this. And that is not the case. And because, Gregory and everybody, they know how to throw a party for sure. And you get treated like royalty whenever you're there. And so what was that like for you, having been to other festivals before? And then also, you run your own film festival, El Dorado. So you have the sort of in between. What's that like? Or what was it like, and how is it like now?
I don't think that the film prize is a film festival, and I don't think it's fair to call it that because
Sure,
it's just different, and I think it's cool that it's different. And I remember even hearing Gregory talk about how when he came back to Shreveport, they wanted him to put on a film festival, and he was like, I'm not going to do a film festival. Every small town has a film festival. I want to do something different. And I do feel like the film prize is different. I'd been to film festivals in, kind of different places in the U.S. and started a film festival in El Dorado. And I mean, Film Prize is it is like you said, a killer party where they show 20 locally made films and 3,000 plus people show up, and it is just wild. And I mean, to me, that was the most memorable thing about that year that we did Bellamy. Was not, it's like everybody's going to be like, yeah, it's easy for you to say because you won the $50,000, but the $50,000 is honestly not the most memorable part. It was the experience, the engagement of the audience, the networking and connections that came out of it, the fact that MTV wrote an article, and just the whole experience by far blows the money out of the water. It really does for me.
Yeah, I mean, and because like there's so much value in being able to network and meet filmmakers and get these interviews and meet critics and stuff like that. There's so much value in that. I mean, I've never won film prize, and while I was competing, I mean, I've achieved so much because of the network that I was able to build, like the people I was able to meet, the judges that I was able to meet. We got to go to Tribeca. I mean, it was huge. I mean, that was so that's, a lot of people focus on I want to win $50,000, but you need to focus on first making a good film, which you did, and then second on who can I connect with to help me grow, because $50,000, win or lose, it's not going to make or your career. It's just it's going to pay some bills or pay for your next film.
It'll help pay you back, right? And then
absolutely
with money on top, obviously, that you can put towards your next thing or pay, like you said, pay bills. But I agree. Like, I don't think people should go in with the mentality, I'm going to put all my eggs in winning this $50,000, because there's so much more that can come out of it than that. And it's hard. It's easier to say. It's obviously when you get into it, you're focused on the competition and
yeah.
But it really is just a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and Film Prize does this thing where you feel super excited and you believe in yourself when you're at the festival. You get built up like I'm gonna win. I feel like I could win.
Yeah.
It gives you that feeling. And I remember whenever you were called, I remember sitting in the audience, waiting for, obviously I had a film in that year, and I was like, I knew Bellamy was gonna win. It was like every year, usually. Not every year, but most of the years, there's always been like one film that everyone knows is going to win. And that year it was Bellamy. And I remember you saying you were so surprised, but like, were you really surprised? How did you like like, how did you feel about it? Did you see it coming? What was that like?
I was genuinely surprised because I had a few people come up to me. I had a lot of people come up to me and say, you're going to win. But I had a few filmmakers that I grew to like over the weekend come up to me and say, like, I think you have a really good chance of winning, but really do try to level your expectations because it is a mixture of judge and audience vote, and literally anything can happen. And there's been situations in the past where the film they thought was going to win didn't win. So it's just like, I did kind of have my expectations leveled a little bit, so I was genuinely surprised when we won. And I'll never forget, Gregory waited to call Mr. Bellamy until the last spot of the top 5. So he listed the first 4 films, and I was like, oh, we didn't get in the top 5. That's cool. Whatever stuff happens. And then he said that one, and I was like, oh, God, we're in the race still. And so, it was just, I remember walking into the award ceremony feeling like I was going to puke a little bit, because it was just, yeah.
It's like, it's the best feeling and it's the worst feeling because you feel like you're going to throw up. You're like, I want this to be over right now. Can we just hurry through it? And Gregory knows how to really just stretch it and pull it and make you wait. So you won and you got $50,000 and it was amazing. And then you came back the next year, you made Memoir, which is doing phenomenal right now, right?
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite stories to tell filmmakers because I think it's a really good perspective shift. Like, so when we made Memoir, we obviously came back and, well, first of all, when we won the $50,000, Paul and I split that because we started a company together called Bespoke Works, and that's the new banner with which we make movies. And we came back the next year to make the sci-fi film Memoir, and we had the whole thing hyped up in our heads, or at least I did, about the film prize experience. Like, oh, everybody's gonna love the film, and even if we don't win, just the amount of reception and response we're gonna get is gonna be amazing. And then film prize came, and I don't think Memoir actually got that good of a response from the audience. I think it might have been a little heady or not their type of genre or whatever it was. And so after the festival, having compared that, juxtaposing that experience with the Bellamy experience, I remember just kind of feeling really down for a few days. And then, time passed and we eventually found this platform called Dust, which is a sci-fi only platform. And I got on their website and looked at their stuff, and I was like, I don't even know if they're gonna like Memoir, because all their stuff's pretty post-apocalyptic and dark, and I don't know if our film really fits because it's a little more hopeful and upbeat. But then Kyle, who was searching for films at the time, reached out to me when he saw the trailer for Memoir on YouTube and asked me to send it to him, and then they ended up buying it and putting it on their platform, and now we have almost 1 million views. And the audience members on Dust say that it's one of their favorites because it is, a little more upbeat than the other films. And so we were really able to find our audience despite thinking we'd made a movie that nobody was going to really like. After the film prize and after that experience that year, we were kind of down on ourselves about oh man, we kind of missed the mark on this one. And then we found that fit and found that audience, and all of a sudden it's got almost 1 million views. So I think that's a really good lesson in you can't make something for everybody. You're never going to please everybody with the film that you make. You're going to find your audience, hopefully, and when you do, it's sparks,
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of us have learned that, and you as well, we learned that the hard way, but also by not giving up. I know there's a lot of filmmakers who will make film prize and then they will not win. They will either get top 5 or they won't. And then they will just feel like they've lost completely. There's no point in continuing forward. And that's the worst thing. That's absolutely the worst thing. I mean, there's films that didn't even make top 20 that have gotten into Oscar qualifying festivals before. I mean, like I said, I've never won, but like I said, we got to go to Tribeca. I mean, that was huge. So it's continue pushing your film out there. And in Memoir, I always check on Dust every once in a while to see how many views it's up to. And the comments, you're right, are fantastic. I mean, it's a mix between this film is amazing and, oh my God, I want to see more. And, oh man, Paul looks like Chris Pratt. So it's fantastic. and since then, you've made 4 Film Prize films altogether, right? That you did after Memoir, you did An Aria for Albrights, and then you did Girl Stills Painting.
Yeah. I think it's 4. Yeah, I think it's 4. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and now all of them are online available to watch, right?
Yeah.
Not only did you win the Film Prize, you just recently shot 2 feature films within the last year. You wrote and directed Multibella, and then you wrote and directed Daisy and Smiling Jack, right?
Yeah, co-wrote both with Paul.
Co-wrote, yes.
Yeah. So Daisy is based on a Film Prize short that Gency did, and I got to do one of my dream projects in Italy, Multibella, which Colby's editing both of them, so he knows he probably has a better inside look on that than most people. But yeah, it's been I feel incredibly fortunate. I feel like so many people have dreams, and so few people get to see them come to fruition, and so I feel definitely incredibly lucky to have done 2. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Alex. I think this is pretty much the end of it, and so I think we're running out of time. And but this has been awesome. Thank you so much for talking with me, and I really can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you for letting me work with you and and jump on board the bespoke train. And it's been a pleasure, and stay safe. And,
yeah, you too.
And stay
you too.
Social distancing.
Yes.
And I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. This is fun.